And how often do you make a decision without Mr. Williams being present? And there were
as often as we can get away with it.
And
I'd
I
forgotten
remember
that
going.
questioning, yeah.
I remember. You can hear me on the microphone going, "Oh my God!" and I was upset, and I told them during the hearing that was crazy, that this was a collegial executive and that we had a broadcast policy board that worked. But I that bugged me all fall. And when I got news of the denial, I can't say that at that point I felt that it was time to go, because I really wanted to see what we could do to recreate the vision in a way that would allow the CRTC to back away and let us continue.
Well,
to
I'm not going to
broadcast.
let the CRTC get away during this recording with it. It was one hell of a bitch slap as far as I was concerned. There, I'm going to read from the denial, and the tone that they brought to this is unprecedented in my mind. And the ironies within ironies, such as the following. It says, the Commission recognizes that the applicant has produced quality programming, particularly in the foreground format, and it also notes the degree of professionalism, imagination, and creativity in its commercial messages, which many commercial stations would do well to imitate. It's like,
yeah.
thank you for the backhanded compliment there. We're sort of beating, as they say, beat commercial radio at its own game is understandable, but it reflects, in the Commission's view, a misunderstanding of the role of student radio.
It's a fair cop.
No, but that's the crux of the
for
dilemma. It's like, no,
sure.
we have this vision and you have this smaller vision.
And we win because we're the government.
Well, they win because of the government.
Yeah. No, that's what I was speaking on their behalf.
Oh,
You
sorry.
will do what we say,
Exactly.
and you will like it.
Exactly. And then, of course, the applicant and the intervener, and I think that was Guelph?
It was a bunch of people, and it was the commercial radio stations in Ottawa. I can't remember.
No, the intervener on our behalf. I think there was. I think Guelph was supporting this.
Yes.
This elimination of the commercial policy because they had a future vision of going on air as well.
We went down there and toured their facilities and talked to them about what we were doing. They were
Right.
quite excited about maybe following in our footsteps.
So both the applicant and the intervener appeared in their submissions to ignore the fact that student and community radio licenses are in a special category.
We're special.
However, if a student group wishes, listen to this, wishes to escape what it perceives as the restrictions inherent in a student community license, it is at liberty to apply for a commercial FM license on the same competitive basis and subject to the same scrutiny as any other group.
Yeah. Like
Right.
they scrutinize FM radio stations more tightly than they scrutinize us.
And why do they have these restrictions? Well, the Commission wants to. The Commission's aim is not to protect commercial radio from competition.
No.
Oh, hell no.
But it is rather to protect student and
From
community
themselves.
Yeah, from themselves.
community radio from the pressures exerted by commercial imperatives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
exactly.
That as I learned there for the first time, but not for the last, any regulatory agency tends to become a captive of the industry that it regulates.
Yes.
And this was the first example that I encountered, and while we disagreed, we had lots of discussions about that decision, and we vented a lot about it. The fact was that either we recreated the radio station's funding in a way that would satisfy the Commission, both in terms of the broadcast of commercials and the way we raised money, or we were going to lose the license.
But listen to the tone of this document, and it really surprised me. The Commission was concerned at the apparent absence of plans to provide regular news services, at least regarding the concerns, interests, and activities of not only the Carleton campus, but also those of other post-secondary institutions within the licensee's coverage area, probably Ottawa U.
Yep.
All right.
And Algonquin.
And listen to this. Such a service would appear to be an elementary requirement of a student station.
Yeah, no. They were boxing us into a student with their vision of what they thought student radio should sound like.
Well, and the applicant has both clearly exceeded the limits of the restricted commercial activity intended by the Commission. Further, it considers such commercial activity to be inconsistent with the entire concept of student community station, and is not prepared to allow it to continue.
Yes.
Wow.
I remember writing a memo, is there life after Chef? For Chef Franken, who was he was the chief policymaker for the CRTC in the FM division, and he really had a different view, a different categorical view
Oh, yes.
of what we ought to be doing. And
well, the interesting thing about us is, I guess they thought it was a bit of an effrontery to them, because we weren't some northern station in Manitoba or something.
Careful.
These guys,
Iqaluit.
yeah, exactly. These guys could turn on CKCU FM at home and listen. Well, wait a second,
I know.
that's
They
not.
didn't need to get our log tapes.
No way.
Well, when we had them.
And then the Commission, and this is the last point, but it was something like, it was very sort of very parental tone to
very,
this, you know,
very.
which is like, it was like, you know what, we don't like what you've been doing, and you're not going out for 3 weekends in a row because of it, you know, or more like, look, Dad, I got straight A's in on my report card. Yeah, but you're taking courses we don't want you to take.
Yeah.
You know. Yep. So the Commission is of the view that the scale or model upon which CKCU FM is operating is too closely patterned upon that of commercial radio. There appears, to be an excessive drive, quote unquote, for professionalism.
awesome.
we were gobsmacked when we read that.
That sentence, excessive drive for professionalism.
Imagine that.
In terms of both budget and paid personnel, the model appears to be in excess of the realistic expectations of student and university financing. And that was their limited view of what we should be doing.
And the other line that came back was, "But sire, you've cut off my arm."
So what was our immediate reaction?
Well, our immediate reaction, of course, was, as you said, gobsmacked. And
I think we went through the 5 phases of death, did we not?
I
Grieving.
remember intense
Yes.
anger.
Yep.
We were angry.
Yep.
And
We were
we were going to
depressed.
take them on. We were going to challenge them. And I
Yep.
remember a meeting in Randy's office where a lot of well, look at this. Look how could they be like that? What are we going to do about that? We're going to challenge the government. Well, that doesn't work even in a democratic society,
Nope.
because they have the hobnail boots.
They've
and
got the power.
you bet.
You've got the power.
I think the difference here was our version of student radio, community radio, was much larger than theirs, and they wanted to apply this very limited understanding of that, and we had a much grander, and it wasn't even modeled on commercial, although they paralleled our understanding.
And that's why Peter and I have had this conversation before, and I think you and I, Randy, have had it. I think behind the scenes that the commercial broadcasters were pissed not about so much what we were programming or that we were taking audience away. It was about money.
It was always about money.
And they saw us as eating into their profits, and they complained bitterly to the commission.
But at the time, we had an audience of about 11,000 people per month. I mean, and of course, you sell radio time based on audience size. But I think what happened is that they were more bothered by the fact that we had a qualitative audience, a youth audience, and a progressive
we had a loyal audience.
We didn't have a quantitative audience.
No.
You know,
No.
but that's what we parsed off, and the people that were with us weren't going to go to Shea, weren't going to go to CFMO or CKBY or any of the other commercial stuff, because they were looking for the same things we were looking, which is alternative radio.
Yeah. No, and that's true. Anyway,
it's kind of like it was kind of like we didn't believe they said that we were developmentally delayed, and we didn't believe them. No, we're normal. We're like everyone else. We can do this stuff, and it's kind of no. You're developmentally delayed. You cannot be normal. You cannot do what the big boys.
And we were basing that normality, that acceptance on the part of the CRTC of what we were doing on this document that they put forth, and we thought
1974.
Yeah, that's right. And quite frankly, I think it didn't make any difference who was leading the parade for us. It didn't make any difference whether or not the lowliest on-air staff was the station manager. They did not want to see this radio station sort of snub their restrictions, because God knows the next campus radio station is going to do it, and the next one, and I think in that context they were right in denying us. I'm not trying to revise history, but I think they're right in denying us the renewal only based on their understanding of what we should have been doing. Yeah. However, their policy, in my mind, was wrong.
Yeah.
And impractical.
All student radio is developmentally delayed and should not apply for a normal license. You are in that category forever. So we had a big meeting out in at our place in Wakefield, and also here there were a number of meetings about what were we going to do, how was this going to affect us, and it became pretty clear that we were going to go to the public broadcasting model of raising money that way.
Well, you remember that I was sent into Toronto in, I think, February 1978 to do some investigation. I went to the radio station associated with Ryerson.
Yeah.
Exactly. And did some investigation and looked at a few other funding possibilities. Randy, you and I actually were looking for sort of someone on a golden horse, perhaps. We actually had an appointment with Mrs. Ryan.
We went there.
Exactly.
We went there. Yeah.
And she was 150 years old and very rich, a nice house. And we thought
dead yet.
And we thought maybe we could get some of that CFRA money.
Oh my God,
we were looking at
naive and innocent.
And her hand was so easy to hold as I got her to sign the
check. And she basically said, "Well, Randy, are you a student?" And he said, "Well, no."
I'm your student.
That killed it.
In any event.
Well, the next crisis, of course, was this university report that came out sort of behind our back, and they were going to distance themselves from supporting us all of a sudden. It was like, what the hell is
Everybody
that?
was backpedaling away from us.
And I can understand that kind of an institutional response. Everyone loves you when you're doing well, but no one loves you when you're down and out.
No, that's true.
It was around those times that I started having conversations with myself about whether.
But before that happened, we had to go through the referendum.
Yes.
And I think we used that very well in terms of getting feedback from audience. We took our programming on a sort of a road show, and we actually won the referendum.
We did.
This is in terms of funding, and I think it was something to the point of 88%.
Oh no, it was huge.
It was huge. What was it? $5 stipend per student, I think initially. I think it was $5.
Something like that, yeah.
That would be guaranteed from CUSA.